Hi and welcome to this video for the BTEC Applied Science Level 3. What we'll be doing is going through the Unit 2 Assignment 4 walkthrough. So there's no practicals within this one, it's purely an essay-based assignment, and what you'll be doing is critically evaluating yourself and more or less just how well you've actually been doing things on the course thus far. So in terms of the criteria, there's one pass, one merit, and one distinction criteria. I can't remember the numbers off the top of my head. I think it's P7, M4, and D4, if I remember right. So just to go through them all. Learners will identify areas of scientific skills developed in relation to the learning aims. Now, I always take this one with a pinch of salt. I think strictly it's meant to just be looking at Unit 2, but I'm always perfectly happy for students to incorporate things that they've developed from other units. As long as there's one or two from Unit 2, I'm perfectly happy for things from biology or physics units to appear within there. Now, what you should be therefore looking at is things like safety. Has that improved? Say communication, teamwork. Soft skills are very important within science, sort of how they've improved. And then you can go on to the more specific ones that you've learned within it. So, for example, if we're going to draw on scientific skills and illustrate the transferability of them, it could be something like, say, graphs, and where you've been doing lines of best fit, working out tangents, or setting up calibration curves within them within Unit 2. And obviously, analytical techniques involving graphs can quite easily be transferred to physics or biology. So we can have things in here, titration you've done colorimetry. Colorimetry is very transferable between chem and bio, lots of things within each of these subjects that use that. Within bio, you may have done microscopes and the idea of scales within there. And scales obviously quite important with uh, things on the biological level being very small, but when we're drawing them out, having them enlarged. And so what we're looking within here is probably at least half a dozen skills that you've actually developed. The other thing what you can do as well, if you're going to talk about the transferability of them, do you have in mind a future job? So what you can do is sort of look at what that job actually involves. So if it's a job working in hematology, for example, spelling hema, I can't remember spelling. Long day, I've just had pizza. And with that, obviously, you would need to be able to use microscopes within it. And therefore, transferability there from what you're learning within the unit to actual future employment, you can discuss that. So P7, pick some skills, how they've actually improved within it, and a little bit about transferability, either between the subjects themselves. So graphs here, for example, or these ones definitely transferable between everything, or likewise, if you've got something in mind for future jobs, you can discuss that as well. Now, merit. Learners will make judgments on their skill development and level in relation to their peer group. So easiest way to think about this is say when you've done one of the practicals, and for example, referring back to the titration one, let's say the true concentration was 0.01 and you got 0.012. So you're pretty close to it. That's fairly well done. Let's say some of your classmates did it and they got results of 0.19, 0.003, things like that. So they've obviously done that fairly poorly. What you can say is obviously your skill in relation to the group by doing titrations and the calculations is pretty good. Likewise, do that for a few things. You can talk about colorimetry, or if you've done a physics practical, a biology practical, how well you are doing in relation to the group. And you've also got things like chromatography within there, how your chromatograms, the points on them separated out. You've got the calorimetry, which you've done to where you work out the melting point. Did yours come out close to the true value? So say your true one was 50 Celsius, you were getting 52 Celsius. Your classmates were getting 59 and 72 and all sorts of things like that. You are clearly much better than your classmates, hopefully, rather than hopefully you're not this guy or girl, and therefore you need to definitely talk about improvements that need to be made and steps to achieve them. Now, what you cannot say for M4 is simply, I will do more. If you are doing something bad and failing the practical, doing that bad thing more times, you're still going to fail each and every future practical. So you need to talk about what you're going to actually change in order to get good results. So for example, let's say with colorimetry, when you were handling the cuvettes, you had your fingers all over them and you were leaving big smears down the side of that glass. That would obviously be interacting and blocking the light going through and therefore messing up your results. So what you can simply say is I'll make sure to hold it on the sides where the light is not going to be beaming through, and that should improve my colorimetry technique. With titrations, it could be a case of where you are just running the chemical through super quick and you're getting a color change, but you're not stopping quick enough because you've just got the tap fully open. Be in line, yeah. Just trying to get that remembered right in my head. Been off for 6 months. And you're running it through too quick, not spotting the color change. By the time you're stopping, you've overshot by a couple of cubic centimeters. So in order to improve this, just go drop by drop when you're near the point where it's going to change based on your rough result. So for the merit, you're looking at specific improvements that you can actually make. Likewise, if you want, talk about a biology or physics one in there. Now, distinction. Critically reflecting on strengths and weaknesses of your own performance and skill development, drawing on feedback from example, peers, teachers, industry. Chances are this is not going to occur this year, being as we're in a pandemic. So you're going to be relying on these two. What you want to try and do, easiest one to get lots of, you will have been likely working in groups for some of these practicals, or pairs rather. Get your peer to rate you on some of these. So, were they having to remind you to put on your safety glasses? Did they have to teach you how to draw a graph? Were they having to point out that you were holding the glass in the wrong place? Were they pointing out that you were filling up the burette unsafely? Things like that. You want comments from them. Then you can more or less link the merit and distinction bits in together by saying, my peer said I was awesome at teamwork because I always followed the instructions and I gave good, clear statements on what equipment they needed to get, what I was going to get. The practical flowed smoothly. We had no issues. I am therefore awesome. Or vice versa, it could be my peer was constantly telling me to put my safety glasses on because I always had them above my head. I was a complete and total danger to myself, especially when handling chemicals, because I was often chatting with other people and not looking at what I was doing. Therefore, big weakness, and you therefore suck at safety, and you need to take steps to improve this. So the distinction is more or less just doing the merit, talking about the skill development, using feedback from others to rate yourself. Hopefully, you agree with kind of what your peers are saying. If not, please include that and still have a discussion. It could be a case of where your peer said you were terrible at graphs, but you think you were pretty good at them, and especially when you handed in your assignment, you got the merit or distinction criteria and a comment from your teacher saying it was well done. Therefore, you think you are perfectly fine and disagree with your peer, and you've got a teacher backing you up with that. So you don't have to always fully agree with them. Have a discussion if you disagree in that paper with it. Pass, list the skills that you've developed, a couple how you can transfer them either to other subjects or future jobs. Merit, compare yourself to your peers in the various practicals, what you're going to do to improve your skills. For the distinction, buff this out a bit using comments drawn upon others to talk about what you've done well, i.e. here, versus say if you were this one and you've not done that one well, and your peer said, yeah, you were terrible at calorimetry there. How would you improve your calorimetric technique? Thank you.